The Chicago Bears are not sneaking up on anybody anymore. That part is over. A team people used to circle as a break in the schedule just became the team nobody in the NFC wants landing on their calendar late in the year. Last season changed the whole smell around this franchise. The proof was not one lucky win, or one hot month, or one loud headline. It was 11 wins, an NFC North crown, and a playoff win over Green Bay. That is not noise. That is a warning. And the scary part is, this still does not feel finished. Caleb Williams is no longer walking into a mess. He has Ben Johnson building the offense around him, not forcing him to survive it. Colston Loveland gives him another weapon through the middle. Luther Burden III brings fresh speed and danger after the catch. Rome Odunze still has the size and talent to turn tight windows into easy. Throws add D'Andre Swift, Kyle Monangai, and Cole Kmet, and suddenly Chicago does not look like a team hoping for answers. They look like a team hiding problems for defenses every single week. But here's where the whole story gets tense. The offense looks ready to punch first, but the season will be decided by whether the defense can punch back when January football gets ugly. Montez Sweat is still the name everybody trusts up front, but one rusher is not enough when the schedule is this cruel and the division is this loaded. Somewhere on this roster, and maybe somewhere on the trade market, is the piece that decides if the Bears are just a great story or a real NFC threat. And before we get to that missing piece, everything starts with the one player who changed the entire timeline in Chicago, Caleb Williams. The reason this Chicago Bears story feels different is simple. Caleb Williams is not being sold as hope anymore. He is becoming the proof. Chicago spent years looking for the quarterback who could steady the room, lift the offense, and make every hard week feel possible. Now that guy is already in the building, and the clock around this franchise has started moving faster than people expected. Last season showed the turn. Caleb Williams did not just flash talent, he played cleaner football when the pressure started closing in. The sacks dropped, the panic plays faded. The offense finally had rhythm instead of survival. Ben Johnson gave him answers before the snap, and Caleb started using them like a quarterback who knew the game was slowing down. That is the scary jump, not the deep ball, not the highlight run, the calm. And that changes everything for Ryan Poles and the front office. When a young quarterback starts looking ready before the roster is fully finished, patience becomes dangerous. You cannot waste a window like this. Caleb Williams is still on a young deal, the weapons are already in place, and the division is not getting softer. So the question is no longer whether Chicago found its quarterback. The real question is whether the Bears can build around him fast enough before the rest of the NFC adjusts. Now the pressure shifts to the players around Caleb Williams, because this group is no longer built like a one-man rescue mission. The Chicago Bears have finally given their quarterback options that can win in different ways. That matters because defenses cannot survive on one answer when every snap brings a different problem. One week, it can be power. The next week, it can be speed, and that balance is where panic starts. Colston Loveland changes the middle of the field. He can sit in soft spots, punish linebackers, and give Caleb a safe throw when the rush gets loud. Luther Burden III brings a different kind of danger. The quick hit that turns into a long gain before the defense even settles. Then comes Rome Odunze, the big target who can make covered throws feel open when his timing is right. Add Cole Kmet, D'Andre Swift, and Kyle Monangai, and this offense stops feeling thin. It starts feeling layered. That is what makes Chicago uncomfortable to prepare for. If a defense loads the box, Caleb Williams can spread the ball. If it backs up, the run game can drain the clock and keep the Bears ahead of schedule. Nobody has to carry the whole thing alone, and that is the hidden strength. But weapons only scare people when the front can protect the trigger man, which leads straight to the next test, and that next test is brutal. The next truth is not flashy, but it decides everything. The Chicago Bears can have weapons everywhere, but if the wall breaks, the whole plan breaks with it. That is why this offensive line carries so much pressure. It is not just about blocking. It is about protecting the season before chaos reaches Caleb Williams. Joe Thuney gives the line a trusted veteran voice inside, the kind of player who has lived through ugly downs and big moments. Drew Dahlman walking away changed the plan fast, and the move for Garrett Bradbury became more than depth. It became stability. Then you still have Jonah Jackson bringing power, and Darnell Wright holding a spot that matters every single week. But this is where the test gets real. A rebuilt line does not become complete on paper. It has to survive timing, noise, injuries, and the kind of rushers waiting in this conference. Green Bay will test the edges. Detroit will test the middle. Seattle will test patience. Los Angeles will test everything. The offense has enough fire to scare teams, but fire needs time to spread. If this line gives Caleb Williams that time, Chicago becomes dangerous in a different way. If it does not, every big dream gets dragged back into the trenches, where the next problem is already waiting on defense. Now the story flips to the other side, because this is where Chicago has to prove the rise is real. The offense can score, the quarterback can create, and the weapons can stretch a field, but playoff football does not care about pretty drives if the defense cannot finish the down. That is the test sitting in front of the Chicago Bears. Montez Sweat is still the name every offense must respect. He gives Chicago length, power, and the kind of edge pressure that can ruin a clean pocket. But one trusted rusher cannot carry every third down alone. That is why Austin Booker matters so much. He is not just another young body in the rotation. He is the swing piece who can turn a thin rush into something real if his jump arrives at the right time. The help around him matters too. Dayo Odeyingbo brings size and force back into the picture. Shamar Turner gives the front another piece with energy and upside. Inside, Gervon Dexter Sr., Grady Jarrett, and Andrew Billings can make life tighter for quarterbacks if the edge group wins faster. Dennis Allen does not need chaos every snap. He needs pressure with discipline, rush lanes that stay clean, and 4 men who can make quarterbacks hurry before routes fully open. If Chicago finds that, the defense changes. If not, the next move becomes impossible to ignore. Chicago can feel stronger and still feel pressure because the NFC North did not sit still. The Chicago Bears climbed, but the room around them got louder, faster, and meaner. This division is not a soft landing anymore. It is a weekly fight where one bad quarter can flip the standings and make last season feel far away. Green Bay brought in Micah Parsons, and that single move changes how every opponent prepares. Even with his return needing patience after the knee injury, the message is clear. The Packers want games decided by heat on the quarterback. Detroit still brings that heavy style with Jared Goff, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, Penei Sewell, and Aiden Hutchinson. They can win with timing, speed, and muscle, which makes them hard to shake over a full season. Then there is Minnesota, with Justin Jefferson still forcing defenses to bend coverage before the ball is even snapped. That is why Chicago cannot treat last year like a trophy that protects them. The Bears have to earn the division all over again, against teams built to punish small mistakes. There is no hiding now, not when every rival has enough talent to steal Chicago rhythm and break its margin late again. And this is what makes the next part so dangerous. The North is already tough, but the full schedule brings an even colder test, the kind that exposes who is truly built for January. The schedule is where hype gets stripped down. Chicago Bears can look complete in June, but the league does not care about paper strength when the real run starts. This road's built to test every weak spot at once. Early division pressure, short rest, hostile stadiums, and defenses that can ruin timing. That is not punishment. That is a measuring stick. Week 7 brings Mike Vrabel and the New England Patriots into Chicago, and that game has trap written all over it. Drake May is growing, AJ. Brown gives him a grown man target, and Vrabel teams rarely hand anybody a clean afternoon. Then Week 8 sends the Bears to Seattle, where noise and patience become part of the fight. 2 games, 2 styles, 2 chances for the season to tilt, and the wider NFC makes it even heavier. The Los Angeles Rams now carry Myles Garrett, which means any January path can run straight into a pass rush built to wreck comfort. Green Bay is still waiting inside the division, and every hard matchup circles back to the same truth. Chicago has enough talent to scare people, but talent only matters if it travels when trophies are decided. That is why every protection call, every third down, and every late drive will reveal whether this team is ready for real pressure now. The Bears are about to find out if their rise has weight, and the final answer may come from one move still hanging over the roster. The fight is not about chasing headlines. It is about fixing the one spot that could decide Chicago's season. Josh Sweat is the name that keeps hovering over this whole race, but this cannot be treated like a done deal. That would be sloppy. The smarter reads is simple. If Arizona listens, the Chicago Bears have to be ready. The fit is why the idea refuses to die. Put Josh Sweat across from Montez Sweat, and the front changes immediately. Austin Booker no longer has to become the answer overnight. Dayo Odeyingbo can settle into a role that fits his power. Shamar Turner can grow without carrying unfair weight. Suddenly the rush has waves, not one lonely storm. That matters when quarterbacks start stealing games late, and this is where the pressure hits Ryan Poles. The Bears already have Caleb Williams, a loaded young offense, a rebuilt line, and enough defensive talent to make noise. Close is not trash, but close is also not safe. The NFC is too deep, and Green Bay already changed the division with Micah Parsons. So Chicago faces the choice that good teams eventually face. Trust the internal jump or strike before the window tightens. If Josh Sweat becomes real, the Bears should not watch, they should move. Because one more edged threat could turn a strong roster into the team nobody wants to see when the weather gets cold. And that is the swing that changes every Sunday from hope into pressure fast.